Hey everybody, what is going on? It is your boy, izlogic.business, welcoming you to the LEC Season Finals predictions, where we are covering the upper bracket final and also the lower bracket semi, where we will be seeing, no, it's quarter, we'll be seeing who finishes as the LEC 4th seed that will face off against Golden Guardians, as well as who are our final three heading to Montpellier. That is what you've got to look forward to this weekend in terms of action. Let's discuss last weekend's results, and I, for one, am really looking forward to discussing this as we switch on over high. Where did I go? Come on, put me on here. Bruh, thingy don't want to work. There we go, here I am on the brightest screen of all. We'll go over here for it. Essentially, game number last weekend, we got a nice prediction. We predicted the Fnatic series perfectly, as well as the BDS SK series on top of it. Giving us, well, no, we got that one wrong. Sorry, we got a perfect prediction on the Fnatic and SK Excel series. BDS SK, we hoped too hard for something that was never gonna happen. Anyway, let's get into this weekend's games. It is gonna be BDS and Fnatic facing off first in arguably a very close battle. BDS came into the weekend in a very dominant fashion. Obviously, Adam, who struggled in the series against G2, showed up and showed out. And as you can tell, what it has done to this BDS roster is it's elevated them to a position where they can just demolish opponents like SK. This puts them in a situation where we have to look at them and how they drafted. There was a lot of priority on the Ivan, and Sheo found comfort on it, and it made it so that he could just be a menace with Daisy and keep his team in the game. As for the rest of the team, they stepped up alongside him. Crowny had a very good series. Adam had a good series against SK. It was just an overall higher level of performance from them compared to their opponents last weekend. As for this weekend, they're facing off against Fnatic, the team that started in the lower bracket that eliminated Excel last weekend in an absolute banger 5-game series. Gonna be brutally honest, Fnatic shook up the draft with a dual flex of Talia that no one really expected, and they kind of just showcased a lot of priority on picks that we've seen but not necessarily used successfully. And I think that how Fnatic attacked last weekend, they showcased a lot of grit and a lot of skill. Now, typically, having just showed you the results by accident for this weekend in terms of prediction, you'd expect me to stick with what... Oh god, that's such a poor fuck. I was in the role. I was in the mood and everything. Then the camera just says, nah fam, you get to look like a complete and utter idiot. There we go. Back we are. But yeah, essentially, last weekend, we had Oscarin, who was in the top lane for Fnatic, playing with a very bad hand. He's had to have surgery on it. And so, he is out. Wonder is in for the first time in forever. It's been a long time since he's played in the LEC, but his services have been called again. And honestly, I think this is where we see a return to form for Wunder. He hasn't played League or pro competitive League in such a long time that here I could definitely see him just demolishing his opponent in Adam. I think the style of champs that he will play is obviously on point with meta, but I think we'll see something surprising. I think he'll definitely try to do what Broken Blade did in shutting Adam down in lane and not allow him to play the map. I think we'll see a lot of priority on Ivan in this series. And I definitely think that it's going to be a close one. But I think the raw power that Fnatic have on this roster will outshine BDS. I think the bot lane is probably the most interesting matchup, Noah versus Crowny. I think both of them are very solid ADCs, and they could quite easily demolish their opponents. Like, demolish each other is pretty easy for them to do that, but it could be quite a nothing matchup, in a sense that no action really happens down there until late. Or we could get what we saw last week with Crowny winning out 1v1s against X-Kick. It just is a flip of a head, honestly. And I think the map state and how these teams will want to play will come down to draft, like always. I think Fnatic's drafting has been pretty good in the series that we saw. They managed to adapt their comps to a style that suits them and controls some power picks for the meta. I don't think many teams understand the current meta, but I think Fnatic have probably one of the better grasps of it. Anyway, that's the first series out the way. What do I think my prediction should be for that? Ooh, I'm actually gonna go 3-2. I think it'll take all 5 games. Originally, I was going to say BDS. However, I think Fnatic's just willpower to do well here will carry them through to a win. I think it's going to be a Fnatic 3-2, and you're probably going to see Wunder return to the LEC next season. That's, oh god, that's a statement and a half to make. Next up, G2 versus Mad. It's the upper bracket final. It's a game we've seen many times before in finals position. This one's going to be clutch, I think. We're definitely going to see a lot of action. And personally, when we saw the results for the opening weekend of the playoffs, no one really expected Mad to be in the upper bracket final. I think people thought they'd lose to Excel considering how Excel did in summer, but they fell flat and Mad just walked over them. We saw a lot of life out of this lineup, and I think Hylissang had a lot to do with that in part. And I think that the rest of the map just started to feel and look better. We saw playoffs Chasey once again on the Rift, and that looked good. Alyoya doing Alyoya things always is good. But, this is a huge but, they're going up against G2. Now, from my understanding, both these teams are guaranteed 3rd seed or better going into Worlds, so they're going to be either, well, one of them's going to get top 2 seeds, which means they're straight in groups. The other's going into play-ins, I believe, or they're both going into groups, and it's just our 4th seed going into play-ins. I'm not too sure, but regardless, one of them's going to be guaranteed World Group Stage, the other is going into play-ins. This one's interesting, to say the least. G2, as a squad, just show up and demolish the league because their work ethic, their methods of beating the meta are a lot higher and a lot more skillful than what teams in the rest of the league do. They just have that one set style that gets them there. And G2 have a multitude of champions, a multitude of styles. It's hard to kind of narrow down what you do against them. So I think that plays a huge advantage into how G2 play. And I think right now, they are arguably the best team in Europe. Probably the best team in the West. And so I think it's going to be a brisk and easy G2 3-1. I think the bot lane's just going to be a bloodbath. I think Hans and Mickey, they've showcased a lot. And I think with how the Talia was used by Fnatic, is going to be reflected in how Caps and Yike go to this pick. Because Yike, synonymous for his Evelyn during, G2's run through winter, and Lilia as well. The picks that are AP carry junglers, he hasn't shied away from, unlike some other players. However, I do think we might not see the flex, though it's probably definitely there for G2, and I think they'll try to flex things like that. Cled's still an option to be flexed. You've also got in their pool the Rel that they have been flexing. I definitely think G2 just have a better and firmer control of the meta in comparison to Mad, and I think that they will absolutely tear them apart on the Rift. Anyway, that's going to be it for this short little broadcast just to get the video up. I'm a little bit busy today, so again, you get a little stream. It's a nice one. Thank you very much for joining me. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new and if you want to. And I'll see you guys for the next couple of streams covering these two series. Peace out.